I just never planned it. It wasn't a career goal. I'm terrified. I am just praying all day. God, I need a door like wide open or just slammed shut in my face. Please don't give me gray, because I don't know that I really want to do this. We had 70 children maybe in that first year, about the time that we were making the transition to being Joe's Kids. Last year, between the therapies and the tutoring, we served over 670 children from Kosciusko and 10 surrounding counties. We are now sitting in a 19,000 square foot facility on 10 acres of land that is going to allow us to grow the depth of our services to Kosciusko kids. What's up, Kosciusko?
Hey, this is Rob Parker with the Kosciusko Chamber of Commerce, and with me today is Rebecca Bazzoni from Joe's Kids. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful winter day.
Yes.
Just wonderful outside, and what a beautiful office you have here.
Thank you. I like it.
I bet you do. So, Rebecca, in 30 seconds, let's really briefly, what do you do, and what is Joe's Kids?
Okay. Well,
we'll come back to it in a little bit, but just so people have a reference point.
Well, I'm the founder and director of Joe's Kids, and we provide physical, occupational, speech therapy, and dyslexia therapies and tutoring for children with different needs.
That's amazing. It's awesome. Yeah. So that's a great elevator pitch. All of you out there, if you're thinking about how to describe something, that is perfect.
Awesome.
Short and to the point. So, Rebecca, I want to go back to your start. Where did you grow up? Tell me about your family history, and then tell me about where you went to college and why you wanted to do this kind of work. So that's a mouthful, I know.
Hey. How long do I have?
Plenty of time.
I grew up all over.
Okay.
So my dad was in the military. I'd probably lived in 7 different states by the time I entered 3rd grade.
You see, now you've always got one of those things that when you're at a meeting and you need an icebreaker.
Yeah.
How many states have you lived in?
Exactly.
So which state was your favorite?
So, well, most of them, I was pretty young, and I don't remember a lot.
Okay.
We landed in Carroll Stream, Illinois, by the time I was in 3rd grade, and I stayed there through high school. So, yeah.
That's one of the biggest data processing centers in the U.S. for bills. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yes, yeah. Carroll Stream.
Carroll Stream, yes.
Yeah, it used to be, I would say, that's near Wheaton or Naperville, Illinois. But no, Carroll Stream's known now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, so you're up in the Illinois area, just outside of Chicago, Carroll Stream. Where'd you go to college?
I did my undergraduate at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're a cheesehead?
I guess. I like cheese.
Yeah, who doesn't?
All right.
Okay. So you're up in Wisconsin, and what was your undergrad?
Well, I studied biomedical engineering.
Okay.
Because I was good at math, and I liked the medical field, and I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do.
I think most college students can relate to that story.
Yes.
And adults, too, because I started out as an engineer. Mm-hmm. That's about what I'm doing today, right?
Sure.
Engineer in the medical field.
Well, I saw how you set all this up. I took some skills.
So you're up in Wisconsin at Marquette. You got your degree. Mm-hmm. Have you met anybody special at this time in your life? Or
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
All
No.
right.
No.
So what? After you get done with college, go back home, or did you find a job somewhere else immediately?
Well, about junior year of college, I knew I did not want to be an engineer, but you finish what you start, right?
Oh, wow.
And I knew that I wanted to go into physical therapy, and unfortunately, my roommate was in the last class at Marquette University to get a bachelor's degree, which does date me, because that's not a thing anymore. And so I knew what I wanted to do. I did take a year gap between undergraduate and grad school, and I waitressed at a Red Lobster, and I've been a much better tipper ever since.
I bet. Life experiences have a way to form how we act towards others.
Yes.
So, but do you still love seafood, or?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
I was never, I don't know.
It
I liked their desserts better than their seafood at Red Lobster.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're waitressing. You took a year gap, and then you said, "I want to get into physical therapy." Mm-hmm. And where'd you go?
I went to Washington University in St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good school.
Uh-huh.
Did you enjoy your experience there?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
yeah.
there?
We're there just for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And we really spent about 8 hours in a basement a day in class
yeah.
and labs, sitting at plinth tables like you see in physical therapy as our desks.
Yep.
So we got to know our classmates well.
Okay. Was there any classmate there that you met?
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah, who was that?
That is where I met John.
Awesome. I knew that was in the story somewhere. I knew I'd find it.
We actually did not start dating until, it was the spring break trip of our second year there.
Okay.
So
And where'd you go?
We had gone with friends, a big group, guys and girls, out to Colorado to go skiing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Which resort?
We went to, I remember, Keystone. We might have gone to Breckenridge as well. We were
everything
kind of in that
Summit
area.
County,
The
the four ski resorts there, yeah.
Yeah. John scared me out of my skis at one point. So, yeah, came up full speed, did a snowplow right into me, and I don't even know how it happened because I was standing still, but I fell over and literally the skis popped off of my boots.
Love at first turn.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you guys are starting dating. Let's fast forward 2.5 years or so. You're out of college. Did you guys graduate about the same time?
We were in the same class.
Same class. So
Yep.
so you're done at the same time.
Yep.
What happens next?
I started my career in Wheaton, Illinois, the Wheaton Medical Clinic. John was here, actually.
Okay.
So in Warsaw, working for Regional Rehab.
Yep.
And we were just continuing to travel back and forth on the weekends to see each other.
That couldn't be easy.
No. And with Chicago traffic on Friday nights,
Yeah.
it really wasn't very fun.
It's brutal. How long did that last? Because it lasts for about an hour for me.
Yeah. Well, I think it was about 3 months after graduation, St. Patrick's Day, which was the day of our first date a year earlier.
Okay.
We got engaged.
Nice.
And so, we were married by October. And I ended up starting my career at Regional Rehab with him.
Okay, so you were together and doing kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that worked well enough.
Yeah.
You know, some people can't work in the same place as their spouse. It worked for us, but we both came home at the end of the day. We'd seen each other all day. There really wasn't much more to say about our work day anymore. So
how was your day at work?
Yeah, right? And you're sort of over it at that point.
See each other all day. You know exactly how your work day went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love my wife. I'm not so sure we could work together. We say that a lot, but that says a lot that you guys could do that. That's amazing. All right, so you've been working. You've got a good job, a good working relationship with your husband, working together, but now out of the blue, all of a sudden, you come up with something, or is this something that's
No,
let's
actually.
talk about it.
So our son, Nicholas, he was born, 2 to 3 years later, so November of 2001.
Okay.
And I returned to work and said, daycare gets more time with him than I do.
Yeah.
So pretty quickly cut to 3 long hours a day just to have more time at home with him. And then our daughter came along, Anna. She was born in April 2004. And at that point, I stayed home for a while. So really had only worked in the field of pediatrics as a student. Did the outpatient orthopedic thing at Regional Rehab for several years until Anna was born, and stayed home with the kids for a period of time.
Yeah, you never get that time back.
No, you don't.
So that's awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, so how long before you did decide to jump back in, and what did that look like?
Yeah, so it was interesting. Anna, at about 18 months, we went in for her well child appointment. And I'm not a speech therapist, right? But I'm a physical therapist. I think I know a thing or two. And I knew that she was a little delayed with her speech, but she was a really smart girl. Like she could communicate in other ways.
She could figure things out.
Yes, yeah. And so she got referred to Indiana First Steps for an evaluation. And I really, in my mind, just thought, that's fine. They're just going to tell us, read more to your child, talk about things, all of that stuff.
Sure.
Mimic her. I knew the basics. And I sat down. They brought out like their eligibility determination team a few weeks after the evaluation. And I sat there on the living room floor with Anna while she's playing with her little people. And I wasn't prepared for what they actually told me. So they basically said that she was showing all of the signs of verbal apraxia.
So for those of us who have no idea what that means,
yeah,
what is that exactly?
Well, put it really basic in layman's terms. It's all in here.
Yeah.
She cognitively, she's a smart girl. She hears you. She understands you. She just can't, her brain is not telling her mouth what to do very well. It was a motor planning type issue. And then they told me that it was just too early for her, for them to be able to say what her prognosis was. And that there are some children with verbal apraxia who may never speak really fluently.
How did you handle that? I mean, that had to be some of the toughest times.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I think I was just shocked, and but not worried because there are children who do. Sure. And I just look at a child. She was just so normal and just playing fine and very smart and able to communicate, in different ways with us. And so I don't know that I was even overly worried, but what happened next upset me.
Okay.
We basically were told, but we don't have a speech therapist available for you right now.
And so the question is why?
Yes. Yeah. And really there just are not enough therapists serving in our area. So they planned to have us start with a developmental therapist. I've worked with a few of them over the years. They're wonderful, right?
Yeah.
But when you've just been told that we don't know if your child's going to speak fluently or not, that's not good enough. And I'm very much a people pleaser. I'm a pretty gentle personality. But Mama Bear started showing up for the first time, I think. Yes. So, thankfully, they were able to talk a speech therapist into taking one more on their caseload when they probably weren't planning to.
Sure.
That was June Staley, and June worked with Anna for the next year and a half. And First Steps evaluates once a year. And so in the person, the team that evaluates is different than the therapist who does the ongoing treatment. So they came back a year later, and they were using the assessment that they use is evaluating both expressive skills and receptive skills. So that means how well a child is able to speak and be understood, and how much they understand, right? But they didn't differentiate it. It's like it was lumped into one category and it gave you a score, and she wasn't going to qualify for First Steps anymore.
Because she understood.
Because she understood, and she was starting to put two words together, even if nobody else in the world could understand them, right?
Yeah.
So she was starting to score too high, even though people didn't understand her. Like, I knew that I want chi might mean I want cheese or I want a treat. And she was so good at nonverbal communication.
Yep.
So I'm answering the questions for this test appropriately that she can do this, and it's working against us.
Sure.
So yeah, she at that age had verbal approximations, meaning we knew that Nani meant daddy, but a 2.5-year-old who can't say daddy or dada, Dada, sorry,
Yeah.
shouldn't be discharged from speech therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So that lit a fire in you. Mama Bear came out. You got
It
what?
did, and they continued.
Yeah.
Continued.
Yeah.
That First Steps is an excellent program in our state. It drives by some standardized testing. There are times where exceptions need to be made,
Right.
but there are just a lot of children that can kind of fall in the cracks of the system.
Sure. So, is that now where you started to say, "Hey, let's
Not even close.
Not even close.
No.
Great.
No.
So what's next?
That was not part of my life plan. I was pretty happy being a mostly stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
I did, as a result of just being a part of First Steps, I've always loved kids, and I again had done some pediatric work as a student, and I knew there was a need for therapists. And so First Steps was going to give me flexibility as a young mom, so I started working in Indiana First Steps as a physical therapist.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was very happy with a very part-time schedule and getting to be there with my kids for everything, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
all the important stuff.
Did you have to travel much with that job, or was that? Did they come to an office, or how's that?
Yeah, that's all home-based.
Yeah.
So, yes,
That's what I
I
thought.
traveled all around Kosciusko County
Okay.
with a basket of toys and, saw children in their homes.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
it's
like a
good.
good job.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. So then, why aren't you doing that today?
Well, I think it was just a few years later that I got a call from Tom Johnson. So at that time, Tom was still the owner of Regional Rehab, contracting the therapy services to KCH. And they were starting to get more families coming to them asking for somebody to see their child. And at first they would tell them, well, we're really not a pediatric clinic. We don't have all the stuff. And our therapists really specialize in orthopedics, chronic pain, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And the parents were desperate because if they went out of town, there were waiting lists everywhere. And some of them were just saying, can you just have any therapist see my child and just give us some ideas? And so they opened the door to that. But it's not a pediatric clinic, right?
Yeah.
You've seen our place. It's got the swings. It's got ways to provide sensory input for kids. Yeah. It's got bikes to learn to pedal on. And they were making do with what they had, but they were getting more than they really could handle as an orthopedic clinic. So Tom asked if I would come help. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even want to do it. Like, I just thought, you have no space. You have a closet with a few old toys in it.
Yeah.
But I also realized in Indiana First Steps, they never wanted us to take the basket of toys in the home. They wanted you to work with what the family had. And, we didn't have all the crazy tools either. And yet what we could offer to the kids was a good thing, and it's a lot of parent education. So I guess I thought, well, something is better than nothing for these families. And so I started coming in to help. I was given space in their work hardening room. So that's where they bring people who have had work-related injuries, trying to rehab them and get them back to, manual labor type jobs. So they kind of pushed this big cube out of the way, and I had about a 10-foot by 10-foot space and a few toys. And started seeing, just a couple children, but then they weren't coming as fast as I thought. And I kept getting calls from First Steps needing, well, we have another family. Can you take this one? And so I really planned to tell Tom, hey, this isn't going to work anymore. And then I get, right the day before I'm going to go in and tell him that, I get a phone call from a family I know. And their child needs therapy. And I couldn't say no. So I stuck around a little longer. And then I was going to say no again. And same thing. Another family calls
way.
me the night before, and they needed both OT and PT. And I said, I can't help you on that, and you really ought to go be seen at Goshen Health by a pediatric therapist for OT.
OT and PT. Some people
Right.
might not know what that means.
Sorry, occupational therapy.
Yes.
They do a lot more work with the hands, with
Yep.
fine motor skills and sensory needs, and physical therapy. So
yeah.
that's me using the big muscles of the body to move, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, so I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And then one more time again, it's not feeling, First Steps is calling all the time. And I thought, okay, enough is enough. I'll continue seeing the kids I have, but I can't accept anymore. I need to give more time to First Steps. And I go in the next day, and it was Matt Hoke who had approached me. And, Regional Rehab had wanted to have a little extra space. I think it was maybe off of the OT department. I can't remember exactly, but they had a patio that they didn't really need. Mm-hmm. And they thought, man, if we could just punch out and have a little more space right there. Well, Matt came over and he said, hey, Dr. Jane came over to visit. Now, Dr. Jane was new in town. She was a pediatrician. And he said she's, really talking a lot about the need for pediatric therapies. And he was also, we were talking about, our plan, what we want to do with space. And she was all fired up. And I thought, when he said fired up, I thought, she's excited about this plan to expand onto a patio. I'm like, I don't know her that well, but I thought she was a pretty smart lady. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go over and talk to Dr. Jane. And I went over there at lunch. And again, it delayed my plans of talking to Tom about not doing this. And I went over to talk to her at lunch, and I said, they want to expand onto a patio, right? Like, and she says, yeah, oh, no, that's not enough.
Yes.
And
So fired up meant something very different?
Yeah. And she was fired up about the need, not their plan. I was fine for what they needed for orthopedics.
Yes.
But so before I know it, we're like walking all over the hospital campus, and we end up in the health services pavilion, and she's pointing to a room up there it's just empty space right now. She's like, let's talk to KCH, and maybe we could use that. And, I went home that night, and I don't think I slept. I was just like, what did I just sign up for? Because now we're going to take this need to Kosciusko Community Hospital at the time. That's what it was called. But, and that's what we did. So, and I'd say they were working on a business pro forma for what pediatrics would look like. And I would say it was probably about a 6-month period of time where we just weren't really getting answers. And I want to say that KCH, and now Lutheran Kosciusko, has been a great support to Joe's kids. Yeah. We are getting lots of kiddos through them. Yep. They have sponsored our events. We have had board representation from them. Yep. So this is not a bad remark. But I started realizing, with the lack of answers at the time, there's got to be hesitation. Mm-hmm. And what I came to realize is that pediatric therapy is just broken. It's a broken business model. The reimbursements do not support the service. And so not a lot of hospitals the size of KCH at the time had pediatric departments. Some of the larger hospitals, Lutheran Hospital in Fort Wayne did, Parkview did. And when we really looked at the places that we felt were meeting a need, it was often the nonprofits. Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember how I got there next, but decided to go talk to Marianne Frigo at Jacob's Ladder in Valparaiso. So I didn't know her at the time, but they were a nonprofit, and I read their story on their website. And basically, she had a child of her own who had Down syndrome at age 3, outside of First Steps, had nowhere to go in Porter County for help. And so she started Jacob's Ladder, and I thought, That's somebody who understands. I'll go talk to her. And so drove up there that day. And again, I just never planned it. It wasn't a career goal. I'm terrified. I am just praying all day. God, I need a door like wide open or just slammed shut in my face. Please don't give me gray, because I don't know that I really want to do this. And received a very gracious response from them, and basically said, we would love to help you make this happen. And we can either, help you by opening a satellite clinic, and you can help run the show. We can help you get up and running quicker under our umbrella for you to develop your own nonprofit, because that takes time. Or you can do your own thing, and you can call us anytime, day or night, and we'll help you. So baby steps. It wasn't my goal. I'm terrified. I'm a physical therapist. It's all I know.
Right.
And so I said, I'm happy with satellite clinic. And so their board came out and visited and talked to some of our community leaders. And we had, I want to say that was June. It's all a little fuzzy now. And I think we had the clinic up and running. We had kind of a soft opening in December of that year. So we opened as Jacob's Ladder, Warsaw, late December.
I was there.
Yeah.
I remember the soft opening. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. So we're getting closer now to where we are today. But okay,
closer.
So Jacob's Ladder, you're not Jacob's Ladder anymore.
No.
So what happened? Baby steps.
The need that we knew.
Yeah.
The need that we knew was quickly proven.
Yeah.
And we grew very fast in that first year.
Yeah.
We had an advisory board here in Warsaw, and the main board of directors was Jacob's Ladder and Valparaiso. And I think we just realized the need. Management from that far away was difficult.
Sure.
And we, both sides, realized we could better grow to meet the need in Warsaw if we became independent, which we did in February 2014.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So people who don't know Joe's Kids, let's talk a little bit more about it, where you're at today, how many people do you serve, just highlighting.
Yeah. Well, when we... Just to show you where we've grown from,
true.
right?
Yeah, we need to go back to that. That's right.
I had, that first year that we became Joe's Kids, I had one part-time speech therapist at 3 days a week. I had 2 part-time OT assistants. I did not have an occupational therapist. I had one who came from New Haven to evaluate and provide supervision for our assistants. And I was the only physical therapist. We had a PT assistant I provided the supervision for, and she's still with us today, but very part-time team, operating in about 1,700 square feet of space.
Yep.
90% of our kids are from Kosciusko County. Today, you can sit here and watch me count in my head. We are around 30 employees.
That's incredible.
I think we just went to 17 therapists this week.
Wow.
8 speech therapists, 5 OTs and OTAs.
Yep.
And then now you're going to see if I can do math right. I should not have put those numbers out there. 4 in physical therapy. So our team, is about 30 in total with support staff. And now we have also started the dyslexia therapies and tutoring. And I think we are at 10 contractors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Look at the growth. Look, that's just incredible, the baby steps and how God led you that whole way.
Yep.
Because you had a good career going.
Yeah. We had We had 70 children maybe in that first year, about the time that we were making the transition to being Joe's Kids.
Yeah.
Last year, between the therapies and the tutoring, we served over 670 children from Kosciusko and 10 surrounding counties.
So this is a hub now.
I guess.
Instead of for Kosciusko having to drive out, families
Yep.
to get services,
Yeah.
it's here local. And if there isn't services nearby, they can come here as the hub.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Exactly.
So just so everybody knows, where are you located today?
So we are 1692 West Lake Street, so just a little west of downtown.
I think most people know it on Old 30.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just not too far from the CCAC.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, what's next?
When we moved here, this is our third home,
That's right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And our last home was a beautiful space that was owned by the K21 Health Foundation. They did the build out for us, committed us to a lease, granted us some for that lease so we could afford it.
Yep.
And we grew there for 5 years. We more than doubled in size. We were outgrowing it at the start of 2020. And that was 4,300 square feet. And we were really starting to look at what was next then. And some hard times hit.
Sure, yeah.
And while we had to be conservative and not make that next step for a facility, our referrals more than doubled. So we went from about 400 referrals a year to well over 700 in 2 years' time. And we are now sitting in a 19,000 square foot facility on 10 acres of land that is going to allow us to grow the depth of our services to Kosciusko kids. I feel like we started making that first step with the addition of the tutoring program.
Yep.
But the needs that we have seen among our families are pretty significant, both for the children themselves. There's a pretty big need for behavioral therapies. We do have some behavioral therapy centers here in town, so we're not tackling that one at the moment. There's a need, I think, for counseling too.
Sure, absolutely.
And nutrition services. The needs are many.
Yeah.
And we can make those referrals, but when we have a family who's stretched thin by life circumstances and, especially a parent, if you think about a parent who's just not in a good place, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they need that counseling and support, and we can make the referral, but they're the last ones they take care of. They're taking care of their child with special needs first.
Right.
And the more that we can provide services on campus here, the more we can help the kids. Even if it's helping the parent, right?
Sure. Yeah, no,
but they're
totally.
coming here, and we got a captive audience in our waiting room. So we're not going to solve every problem as Joe's Kids, but we're going to be wanting to build those community partnerships.
Sure.
And now we have the land to make something like that happen. So how we get there, we're working on. It's been a year of tremendous growth.
Yeah.
But we want to be able to provide a more comprehensive approach, a very holistic approach for taking care of our kids.
Awesome. Anything else I should know, Rebecca?
I don't think so.
That was a good story. That went all the way through everything, and I learned a few new things, and so I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to In the Loop with Kosciusko Chamber of Commerce. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.